The golden child had always been Logan Brown. He had been raised under the harsh glare of sister wives as the firstborn child of Janelle and Kody Brown, bearing the weight of responsibility, leadership, and the unachievable expectations that came with being the oldest of 18 children. Few, however, were aware of the suffering that lurked beneath his controlled exterior, and even fewer were aware of the reason he eventually turned away from the family and the program. Logan had already taken on the role of a second parent by the time he turned 18. He frequently prepared dinner when Janelle was working late, assisted his brothers with their homework, and intervened to calm down Kody's frequent outbursts. From Robin's abrupt entry into the family dynamic to the subtle change in Kody's devotion and affection for her kids, especially Dayton, he saw it all. But the favoritism wasn't what really broke Logan's spirit. What never appeared on TLC was what transpired behind closed doors. The true cause of Logan's absence: Logan had once attempted to voice his worries to Kody in a private exchange that was caught on video but never broadcast. It happened after Robin and Kody got married legally and started the drawn-out, contentious process of getting her kids, Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna, officially adopted. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel TLC Flicks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Kody became fixated with making Dayton his legal son because he was preoccupied with playing the role of a savior father on TV. Logan didn't mind Dayton getting help because they were close as stepbrothers growing up, but the way things turned out broke his faith. Kody emotionally distanced himself from his biological children, Logan in particular, and devoted all of his energy to establishing himself as Robin's children's hero dad. What's the worst? Pretending to be ecstatic about the adoption, he started pressuring Logan to take part in public displays for the cameras. Logan, however, declined. He's adopting Dayton, but he's abandoning me, he confided in Janelle. Janelle felt conflicted. Although she knew Logan was in pain, she stood by all the kids. He felt abandoned after giving up everything for the family, including his freedom, his adolescence, and even some aspects of his identity. He told Kody how he felt, and the reaction was icy. "You've matured. I'm no longer necessary for you. Dayton does." It was that sentence that changed everything. The breaking point of Logan, Kody told him a confidential ultimatum that was not captured by the cameras. Either you publicly support the adoption, or you step aside. Logan packed his bags that evening. He remained silent. He refrained from crying. "I love you, but I can't keep pretending," he said softly to Janelle. "I've finished performing." He abruptly left Flagstaff and the show without even bidding Robin and Kody farewell. His absence was covered up in the following season of Sister Wives. Logan was focused on college and personal life, according to the filmmakers, but that was a filtered version of the reality. His true motivation for leaving had little to do with academics. Rather, it was to finally be free of the burden of Kody's control and the anguish of being emotionally neglected for a child he had only known for a few years. Hidden factors in the adoption: all adult family members had to sign declarations expressing support for Dayton's adoption, according to court documents later made public by family insiders. Kody never forgave Logan for his refusal to cooperate, which caused the process to be delayed by almost 8 months. Kody's actions became increasingly unpredictable throughout this period. In an attempt to change the story, he started portraying Logan as distant and disrespectful in family conversations. Robin, who repeatedly reminded the younger children that Logan chosen to leave them, also had a subtle but deceptive role. In one of their rare heated arguments, Janelle addressed Kody, saying, "You made him choose between obedience and truth. Truth was his choice. You ought to have been proud of that." Kody only sneered, though. The family was betrayed by him. The new voice, new life of Logan. Logan is still not involved in the family's public life after all these years. He avoids interviews, stays away from the turmoil, and hardly ever posts on social media. However, he has started sharing his tale in private, secure settings, not to do harm but to promote healing. Logan's agonizing reality has nothing to do with bitterness. It's about enduring the emotional battle of growing up in a household that was constructed more for entertainment purposes than for actuality. He is now engaged to a woman who never watched the show, leading a tranquil life and establishing a foundation of tranquility, which he had been denied for so long. He will never say it out loud, but his silence says a lot. Sometimes the bravest thing to do is to walk away, Logan has been out of the spotlight on Sister Wives for almost 4 years. He had established a peaceful, private existence in Nevada during that time, free from confessionals, filming schedules, and the meticulously crafted emotional stage on which Robin and his father had grown used. However, the hush was not permanent. The altercation took place on a sour December afternoon. Janelle was having a private post-holiday supper with Logan and Michelle, just the three of them. Or so they believed. Robin had discovered Logan was in town through one of the younger children, and Robin felt it was time to settle things. Janelle had kept her contact with Robin and Kody to a minimal. Robin unexpectedly arrived at Janelle's house, accompanied by Aurora and Dayton, without warning. Janelle's eyes narrowed as she opened the door. "You're not supposed to be here," she stated bluntly. Robin said, using her usual defensive, sugary tone, "I'm not here to fight. I've come to talk to Logan. Closure never came to us. Dayton is deserving of that." Logan listened with interest from the kitchen. He tensed all over when he came out and spotted Robin. Michelle grounded him by reaching for his hand beneath the table. However, he spoke in a calm tone. "Robin," he continued, his voice like velvet-wrapped steel, "I owe you nothing. You made a decision. I created my..." Robin's lips quivered, but she refused to back down. "Logan, you turned to leave. This whole family was abandoned by you. Do you even know how Dayton was affected by that? To him, you were like a brother. He wept for months." Logan got to his feet. Kody also wept for Dayton. Not for me, though. Not when I informed him that I couldn't support his adoption in the manner he desired. He informed me that I was no longer involved. I therefore went. Robin shattered her voice. "You allowed your pride to harm those who cared about you." Logan gave a headshake. "No, Robin. In order to perform for cameras, adoption courts, and a guy who only cared about the children who obeyed him, I had to let go of a system that expected me to lie. To make Kody feel heroic, I wouldn't pretend to be supportive. It wasn't pride. It was a sign of self-respect." Aurora turned her head away. Dayton stood with a face that was impossible to read. Robin's tone faltered. "You might still have been present. We could have resolved it." Logan firmly stated, "You didn't want to work through it. You want to steer the conversation. Kody needed me to be absent and silent. You two betrayed my boundary and then told the rest of the family about it. Furthermore, Dayton is now old enough to understand the reality. Ask him." There was silence in the room. At last, Dayton spoke up, his tone cautious and low. He said, I always wondered why you left without saying goodbye. They said you didn't give a damn." Logan softened a little and turned to face him. "Dayton, I was concerned. I still do. However, I couldn't continue to act as though nothing was wrong. It wasn't love. That was a matter of survival." Dayton gave a slow nod, his expression concerned but not furious. Robin's eyes filled with tears. "We were a family." Logan's stare pierced through pretense as he glanced at her. "We belonged to the TV family." The intervention of Janelle as the debate deteriorated. Janelle intervened at last. She gave Robin a weary, frustrated look. "You came here not to get closure. You came here to make Logan feel guilty about changing history to fit your narrative. Additionally, I won't permit you to do it in my house." Janelle held out a hand before Robin could finish. "No. While the rest of us were ignored, you and Kody spent years creating your ideal family. While Kody was out playing patriarch with you, Logan took care of his siblings. And you portrayed him as cold-hearted when he drew a line. I witnessed it. I experienced it." Robin slumped her shoulders. She appeared considerably older all of a sudden, not from aging but more from losing control. "Please," she said in a whisper. Dayton merely desired to see him. Logan moved forward and gave Dayton a little nod. "You're aware of my location. Only you. At any time." The snow had just started to fall when Logan turned back to face Michelle, took her hand and led her to the back porch. Robin stayed in the doorway, clutching something that was shattered and beyond her ability to repair. Robin's energy seemed peculiar when she got back to the Flagstaff cul-de-sac that evening. It was quiet but obviously shaky. Her eyes were crimson from suppressing her tears, not from crying. She had gone to Janelle's with the intention of winning, of humiliating Logan into confessing his crime. Instead, She discovered a mother who no longer put up with lies and a boy who no longer feared the father who had reared him. She entered the living room where Kody was seated, half watching a Knight Rider rerun. He glanced up nonchalantly. So, he inquired, "Has Logan regained consciousness?" Robin took off her coat gently. She didn't respond. "Robin." Kody straightened his posture. "You did speak with him, correct?" When she did look at him, her eyes were filled with annoyance. "Indeed, Kody. I spoke with him. And no, he didn't realize what had happened. He made his usual statement. That you ejected him. That you left him behind." Kody's mouth tightened. "That's ridiculous," he yelled. "I gave the boy everything I had. I provided him with a roof over his head, opportunities, and discipline. And now that he didn't want to support Dayton's adoption, he's playing the victim? That is twisted." Robin whispered, "Kody, he's hurting. He has been in pain for many years." Kody got up from the sofa, his voice rising and fierce. "No, you're in pain. Because the reunion you desired was not granted. And now, since Logan chose to leave the family he was born into, you're returning here to attempt to make me feel bad. That is his fault, not mine." Robin winced. "He is not the adversary." Kody snarled. "He turned himself into the enemy. He disregarded my choices. He left his siblings behind. Do you realize how it appeared when he declined to participate in Dayton's official adoption? When Logan refused to sign the statement, did you realize how many questions the court asked me? In a courtroom, he made me look foolish. On television around the country." Robin's tone became cold. "So your reputation was at stake here, not your son." Kody's face contorted as his cheeks began to flush. "Robin, don't turn this around. He owed us harmony. That is the role of a family." "No," she snapped back, losing her cool. "If someone has boundaries, a family does not threaten to keep them quiet or to retreat. That isn't unity. Manipulation, that is." For a moment, Kody looked at her as if he hadn't seen her before. Then his voice grew softer and more menacing. "You prefer his version of events to mine," she said. "I'm saying he didn't lie. He claimed that you informed him that he was no longer involved. For he wasn't." Kody threw his fists in the air and burst. "He wasn't in favor of the adoption. This family was not supported by him. Being the eldest, he was expected to lead by example." Robin's heart sank as she gazed at him. "He did. When it became toxic, he left." The room fell silent. Going on Janelle's warning, Kody was furious the following morning and stormed over to Janelle's Airbnb-style rental. He didn't knock. He struck. Already exhausted, Janelle opened the door with a mug of coffee. "No, not today." Kody said, "You turned him against me. You always fueled his anger." Janelle let out a sigh. "Kody, I shielded him from your animosity. Significant difference. He painted me as a failure. A parent who was unable of retaining his own son." She said bluntly, "You didn't need any help doing that. You used your approval, your presence, and your love as weapons." Logan caught sight of it. "Your other children can now see it as well." "I brought this guy into the world," Kody yelled. "Then you made him wish he hadn't been involved." When Janelle's voice finally broke, she felt a surge of rage. "You couldn't take being challenged, so you drove him to the brink. And rather than admitting your failure, you accused him of betraying you when he left." Startled, Kody took a step back. Her voice trembled as she murmured, "He was the best of all of us. You also lost him." Reality meets delusion. Kody spent almost an hour that night sitting in his car in the driveway, clutching the steering wheel and panting. The fantasies started to crumble for the first time in years. Logan had grown up in his shadow, taken on the role of father to his siblings, and given up his youth. Yet Kody called him disloyal the instant he made his own decision. The adoption of Dayton wasn't the only issue. It was about all the times Kody demanded commitment but didn't reciprocate. Even Kody Brown started to realize, somewhere in that hush, that perhaps Logan hadn't deserted the family. He might have gotten away with it. The morning following Robin and Kody's quarrel, the home was silent. Too silent. Like a thunderstorm poised to burst through the sky, the vibe was heavy with unsaid tension. With headphones around his neck, Dayton sat by himself in the upstairs hallway, staring blankly at his phone while repeating Logan's statement from the previous evening. That wasn't love. That was a matter of survival. He hadn't slept. Not at all. He had become confused rather than angry by Logan's presence. Above all, there is doubt. Dayton had been presented a meticulously crafted story of Logan's disappearance for the most of his adolescent years. Logan drifted, according to Kody, who also said that he had no loyalty to the family and disapproved of Dayton's position within it. When Logan's name was mentioned, Robin would frequently cry and tell Dayton that he never accepted her children. However, Dayton didn't encounter a chilly or unkind dude last night. Despite being severely wounded, he maintained his composure. Dayton was familiar with the appearance of agony. In the mirror, he saw it. He waited until after breakfast, when Kody had gone to the garage for his typical pouting and Robin had gone to lie down with a migraine. Dayton then knocked on Kody's door in a low voice. Still annoyed from the night before, Kody opened it. Yes, Dayton didn't make an effort to be nice. I have a question for you. I also want the truth. Kody blinked. All right. What actually caused Logan to depart? Kody gave an eye roll. We have discussed this. He was challenging. Inconsiderate. He had no desire to join the family. No, Dayton firmly stated. I'm telling the truth. It's not the version you've been spreading. For the cameras, it's not the story. What were your words to him? Kody stopped. Now Dayton's voice shook. He said that you informed him that he was no longer involved. That you issued an ultimatum to him. That you made him decide between getting ejected and acting as though he didn't mind my adoption. Kody's attempt at laughter came out brittle. Everything is being twisted by him. Dayton took a step forward. Have you told him that? Kody's gaze flickered. He was making things more difficult, I informed him. That he was failing to assist the family. I didn't ask for that, Dayton remarked. Did you inform him that he was no longer involved? Kody remained silent. Dayton only needed that. The unraveled truth. Dayton confronted Robin in the kitchen later that day. In an attempt to prevent the same breakdown that Kody had descended into, she started doing the dishes. Why did you tell me Logan didn't care about us, Mom? Dayton whispered quietly. Robin tensed her back. You informed me that he opposed the adoption. That his love for me was not that of a true brother. Robin spun around, tears already welling up in her eyes. I never intended to harm you, Dayton, my love. All I wanted was for you to feel secure. Logan was so irate at the time that he gave us the impression that we were trespassing. No, Dayton cut in. You gave him the impression that he was being replaced. It was because he didn't want me, you later told me. You made me feel a connection to Kody by using him. Robin gave a headshake. That is unfair. But isn't that true? Robin started to object, but she was unable to find the right words. Dayton had a calm but firm voice. He was my sibling. He remains so. Additionally, I'm interested in him beyond the version you and Kody created. He retreated when Robin reached for him. Mom, you are loved. However, I no longer believe the stories. I have to work this out on my own. A sent message. Dayton did something that night that he hadn't done in years. He located Logan's email, which he had saved but never used, on his laptop and typed, Hello. Dayton is here. I'm not sure what to say just now, but I believe I now understand. And I apologize for thinking the wrong thing about you. Can we have a conversation sometime? For a time, he hovered above send, then made a click. And Dayton accomplished what Kody was never able to do in that one silent act. Truth was more important to him than loyalty. Healing over mastery. Logan opened his email just as the sun was peeking over the Nevada horizon. Typically, his mornings consisted of a cup of coffee, headline checks, and taking business calls. However, there was something different in his email that morning. From Dayton, after a lengthy while of staring, he clicked. As he read the brief message, his stomach constricted, each word thumping like a heartbeat. Hello. Dayton is here. I'm not sure what to say just now, but I believe I now understand. And I apologize for thinking the wrong thing about you. Can we have a conversation sometime? Logan took a while to reply. With his hands in his pockets, he left his desk and began to pace the living room. The home was calm, almost too peaceful for what was happening, and Michelle was still asleep upstairs. A younger Dayton sitting next to him on the couch, wondering how to tie a tie for church, came back to him. Things felt easy back then. Prior to the treachery. Prior to the quiet. After all these years, Dayton was now contacting Robin as a brother rather than as Robin's son or Kody's adopted legacy. Logan let out a breath. Yes, he said simply. That would be nice. Face to face, away from the cameras, the family, and the history that both of them were damaged by, they decided to meet in a peaceful coffee shop off the Las Vegas Strip. Logan recognized Dayton as soon as he entered. He no longer appeared to be the anxious kid vying for Kody's affection. Instead, he appeared older, more solemn, and more mature. His eyes, however, remained the same. Broad. Nice. Ambivalent. When Logan came over, Dayton stood clumsily, unsure whether to shake hands or give an embrace. Logan nodded and said softly, "Hey man." They took a seat. The silence weighed heavily for a moment. Then, in a shaky voice, Dayton spoke. "I was unaware. Actually, I didn't." Logan gave him a direct look. "I think you're real. I assumed that your departure was due to your disinterest in having me in the family, that you felt I didn't belong." Logan clenched his jaw and shook his head. "That's what you were told." Dayton gave a nod. Logan responded, his voice raspy with passion. "I never had a problem with you. Being used as a prop for something I disagreed with was a concern for me. While Dad changed reality, I was unable to feign a smile for the camera. He pushed me out to make place for his next plot point, and I wasn't going to stand there nodding." Dayton's tone cracked. "However, why didn't you bid them farewell? How come you didn't tell me?" Logan's expression tensed. "Because I would have stayed if I had. And Dayton, I was drowning. I couldn't breathe because I was so engrossed in taking care of my siblings, tidying up Dad's mess, and acting like everything was alright for TLC. I would have been in 1,000 pieces if I had stayed another day." Dayton's eyes were filled with tears. He said, "I missed you. The only one that spoke to me like a real person was you. I wasn't exactly broken. Not as if I were a publicity stunt." Logan cast his gaze downward. "I also missed you." The verdict among brothers, for more over 2 hours, they conversed. Dayton acknowledged how Robin and Kody had painted Logan's departure as an act of desertion. Logan described how Janelle attempted to defend him, but was defeated by the emotional strain and lies. Dayton talked on how Logan's quiet felt like rejection, even though it wasn't intended to be, and how he always felt like he had to show he was worthy of the family. "When Kody adopted me, I always felt like I was replacing something," Dayton said. "However, I didn't want to replace anyone." "You didn't," Logan replied quietly. "Kody relinquished mine. You didn't cause that." Frustrated, Dayton shook his head. "We were both used by him." "Yes," Logan concurred. "But because of him, we don't have to remain broken." As they sat in silence, they began to understand one another better. "What now?" Dayton finally inquired. Logan smiled a little. "Now, we give it another go. Not as a member of their household. Like brothers. Me and you alone." Dayton gave a slow nod. "That would be nice." A step nearer, Logan clasped Dayton on the shoulder as they got up to go, not out of duty or remorse, but out of genuine concern. It was the sort of move that didn't require confirmation or cameras. The wind blew cold over the pavement outside of Vegas. However, something had thawed between them, a broken relationship that was gradually healing. They both did not say, "I forgive you." They were not obliged to. It was already in their deeds. It was Kody Brown pacing. As Robin checked his phone once again, the frenzied pace of his boots was echoed by the poor tile of his kitchen. Don't text. No calls were missed. Nothing but quiet. Furthermore, he detested stillness above all else, particularly when it indicated that anything beyond of his control was taking place. With her fingers tapping impatiently against a mug of chamomile tea she hadn't touched, Robin sat at the counter. At last, she stated it out loud. Dayton and Logan met. Kody stopped. His body froze like if he had been hit in the back. "When?" he said, hardly raising his voice above a whisper. "Yeah," Robin whispered. "In Las Vegas. Why didn't I tell you sooner? You shouldn't have spiraled." His voice blew up. "You don't think this is a spiritual?" His eyes were furious and his fists were clenched as he stormed out of the kitchen. So Logan is now poisoning him? Making him hostile to us? Could that be what this is? Robin trailed behind. No, Kody. He's not being poisoned. Dayton was looking for clarification. Logan also told him the truth. Kody spat. Oh, give me a break. Ever since he was able to speak, the youngster has harbored resentment. Acting like I was the bad guy for not kissing his boots, he was always so self-righteous. I gave it all to him. I handed them everything. Robin spoke quietly. You gave your name to Dayton. You remained silent in front of Logan. Wild-eyed, Kody turned on her. I gave Dayton a future by adopting him. No, she answered cautiously. You adopted him to project a certain image of yourself. It appeared as though she had slapped Kody. Your voice is beginning to resemble Janelle's. Janelle's last word, Kody didn't call before arriving at Janelle's rental that evening. Once more. He was breathing heavily this time, but not because of weariness, but rather out of a fury so intense it was almost pathetic. Already exhausted, Janelle opened the door. She stated bluntly, I'm going to assume you learned that Logan and Dayton had a conversation. Kody angrily said, You encouraged it. For years, you have been working behind my back, inciting rebellion and turning the children against me. Janelle crossed her arms. Kody, the seeds were there already. You simply sprayed the ground with petrol and claimed to be a leader. His voice rose as he took a step closer. I remain their father. Janelle remained unflinching. No. Now you are a figurehead. A man holding on to power that he hasn't earned for years. Kody trembled. History is being rewritten by them. Logan was never pushed away by me, she retorted. So why did you tell him he was no longer included in the picture? He recalls. I recall. Logan felt like a barrier since you were so focused on adopting Dayton. And your entire dream is crumbling now that Dayton is aware of the reality. As though he was having trouble breathing, Kody's mouth expanded and closed. Although Janelle's voice grew softer, it remained sharp. Dayton is not the subject of this. Control is at issue here. About your desire to be the hero, even at the expense of every genuine relationships you have ever had. Another youngster speaks out of nowhere. A voice from the corridor interrupted. Hunter was the one. He had heard everything from the stairs when he had come to see Janelle earlier that day. Hunter entered the room and remarked, I've been silent long enough. However, you're no longer allowed to scream at Mom. You have no right to barge into her home and act like the victim. Stunned, Kody turned. Hunter extended his hand. No. This time you don't get to speak first. The room went cold. When Logan began to slip, you were blind. While you were pursuing new goals and new children, you failed to notice how hard he worked to keep everything together. And you gave him an ultimatum when he needed a father. Then you abandoned him as if he didn't exist. Kody's tone faltered. I was attempting to maintain family unity. Hunter stated, You weren't. You were constructing a new one. The quiet was overwhelming. Hunter went on, I used to defend you to people who said you were selfish. However, seeing you discard Logan, you're punishing him for setting boundaries? Everything altered as a result. Kody appeared diminutive. He had no defense for once. No screenplay. Hunter moved in closer. You must sit with your actions. Not angry about it. Take a seat with it. For Logan's sake? He is not the one who is broken. You are. Cracks of delusion, Kody sat by himself in his truck later that night, staring at the steering wheel. The quiet didn't feel empty for the first time. It seemed well-earned. The family he had created, shaped, and controlled was evaporating from his grasp. Not because he was deceived by them. Since they were conscious. And there wouldn't be a camera crew to assist him in changing the conclusion this time. Let us know in your comments. And stay tuned by subscribing our channel to get more updates like this. Thanks everyone.